Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to be looking at the SAT writing section on practice test number 1. This test is available on both Khan Academy and the official College Board website, and it's also linked in the description if you want to follow along. We're going to be going through every single one of these 44 questions. Every single one, we're going to explain how to do every single one so that you are ready to ace the writing test. Please be sure to look at the description if you want to see the test. You can follow along if you want to. And if you enjoyed these videos and find them informative, please be sure to like and subscribe. With that, let's get started onto our first question. Here we go. All right, we're going to get started with question number 1 on this passage. All right, so let's scroll down a little bit. All right, so questions 1 to 11 are on this passage, way to go. Little play on words there. So we're told that a Greek yogurt is a strained form of cultured yogurt and has grown enormously in popularity in the United States since it was first introduced in the country in the late 1980s. From 2011 to 2012 alone, sales of Greek yogurt in the US increased by 50%. This resulting increase in Greek yogurt production has forced those involved in the business to address the detrimental effects of yogurt making process may be having on the environment. All right, so we've read these almost 2 paragraphs, so we haven't hit any questions. And you might be wondering why we're reading in the first place if there are no questions there. Now, the thing about the SAT writing passages is that even in the places where there aren't questions, there's going to be a lot of useful information. Especially when we're at the beginning, we don't know what this passage is going to be about, so we can get some well-needed context in the beginning of this passage that we can use. And as you can see, we're coming up on our first question. All right, fortunately, farmers and others in the Greek yogurt business have found many methods of controlling and eliminating most environmental threats. Given these solutions, as well as the many health benefits of the food, the advantages of Greek yogurt outdo the potential drawbacks of its production. So the word we're given, the word that is there is outdo. And our choices are, we have defeat, choice B is defeat, outperform, and outweigh. Okay. So what are we going to do with these questions? Let's see. These answer choices. So we need to figure out first, when we have these kinds of choices, what is the relationship in this sentence? Right? What is the verb trying to say? Right? What is happening in this sentence? So we're told that the advantages of Greek yogurt and that outdo the potential drawbacks of its production. Now, looking at that context that we learned earlier about the many health benefits of the food and then minimizing environmental threats, we can assume that this relationship in this sentence is trying to say that the advantages of Greek yogurt are more than the potential drawbacks to its production, right? So the advantages is more than the drawbacks. So how do we say that? So we have these 4 options here, right? Now, let's see outdo itself, right? The original choice. The advantages of Greek yogurt outdo the potential drawbacks of its production. Right, outdo seems like something you might use in a normal sentence, right? You could say outdo, something outdoes something else, right? Now that is an option. Now, second one is defeat. Now for defeat, let's see. Would we say that the advantages defeat the drawbacks? Not really. We wouldn't say that, would we? We wouldn't say that it defeats it because defeat is having that connotation of 2 things trying to in a battle or something, and that's obviously not what's going on here. So this is wrong. And next is outperform. The advantages outperform the drawbacks. Well, the thing is that neither of them are doing anything. You're just saying that one is more than the other. You're not saying that either of them are performing or something like that, right? So outperform is also going to be incorrect. And then we get to outweigh. And we can see for outweigh, let's see, do the advantages outweigh the drawbacks? That sounds like a much more reasonable sentence, something we would say in a normal conversation. Right? So outweigh does seem to work. Now we have to choose between outdo and outweigh. Do the advantages outdo the drawbacks, or do the advantages outweigh the drawbacks? It just feels more natural for an English speaker to say outweigh the drawbacks. Right? One is more than the other. It holds a metaphorical weight more than the other. So our answer here is going to be outweigh, which is answer choice D. And we can keep going to the next question. All right, so question number 2. Question number 2 says, okay, so I have to read on to the next paragraph. All right, so the first thing I see, even before I start reading, I see that one in the brackets, right? That the one in the brackets, and that tells me that in this paragraph we're gonna have something that's trying to change around the order of the sentences, because I can see that the one is for the first sentence, the two is for the second sentence, on and on. So there's going to be a question here that is about changing the order of the sentences. And I haven't gotten to that question. What I'm going to do while I'm reading the paragraph is keep a lookout for a sentence that seems out of place, a sentence that seems like it doesn't belong in that place. And that's going to help me not only solve that problem of changing sentences around, but get a better grasp on what the passage is saying, and therefore be able to answer the other questions better. So that's why when I immediately see this one, I'm going to read this passage thinking, are there any sentences that don't seem to flow correctly? All right, so let's look at actual number two right now. Okay, so we have the main environmental problem caused by the production of Greek yogurt is the creation of acid whey as a byproduct. Because it requires up to 4 times more milk to make than conventional yogurt does, Greek yogurt produces larger amounts of acid whey, which is difficult to dispose of. 3. To address the problem of disposal, farmers have found a number of uses for acid whey. 4. They can add it to livestock feed as a protein supplement, and people can make their own Greek-style yogurt at home by straining out regular yogurt, and that's where we hit 2. And then, so what are we asking? So which choice provides the most relevant detail? Okay. So this sentence, right? They can add it to livestock feed as a protein supplement. Well, let's see what is in the sentence before. Sentence before says to address the problem of disposal, farmers have found a number of ways for acid whey, number of uses for acid whey. And this is all about the uses. You know, you can use it as livestock feed, that's what they said. And now we could say, you can, in the second part of the sentence, you could say, here's another use, or you could expand upon the first use. So you want one of those. Now, where it says people can make their own Greek style yogurt at home by straining regular yogurt, that doesn't tell you about a use of yogurt. That's just a way to make the yogurt. So that doesn't seem like it's going to work. Choice B says supplement and convert it into gas for use as a fuel in electricity production. Like, that seems like a use. You know, that's a pretty good use of acid whey. You turn it into gas and use it for electricity. And then let's see. So that one we're going to keep. Let's look at C. So for C, what do we have? For C, we have supplement, while sweet whey is more desirable as a food additive for humans. So that doesn't tell us anything. We already know that humans eat Greek yogurt. I mean, that's kind of the point of the passage. But telling it how it's like desirable for humans or how it's a food additive for humans doesn't help anything. So C is also going to be wrong. And then we have D, which provides an important element of their diet, of a food diet, right? It's like it's assuming that it's like the livestock diet, right? Now that seems like a relevant detail, right? Because it says they can add it to a livestock feed as a protein supplement, which provides an important part of their diet. Now, so we have these two choices, B and D. Now, this is going to happen a lot on the SAT, right? Not only in the writing passage, but also in the reading passage, where you have multiple answers that seem like they fulfill the question. And the SAT always wants the one that corresponds most with the question, right? The one that is most directly answering the question. So for B, we have and convert it into gas to use as a fuel in electricity production. For D, it's an important element of their diet. Which one is more closely related to the passage, closely related to the sentence before, and is a use for acid whey? It's going to be B. Right? This expands upon the previous detail, but this is an actual other use. So our answer is going to be choice B. And we can keep going to the next question. All right. So next question. Let's see. All right, so we're going to keep reading, and we see 5. If it is improperly introduced into the environment, acid whey can pollute waterways, depleting the action content of streams and rivers as it decomposes. Okay, so about this is going to be about changing the tenses of the sentence. So the phrase that we're given is can pollute waterways. Waterways. Let's write that here. Waterways. Can pollute waterways. Okay, so that is the phrase we're given, and that's something that we want to change, or we can leave it as is if the no change option seems to be correct. Okay, so if it is improperly introduced into the environment, acid way runoff can pollute waterways. And then it keeps going. So we have for choice, the next choice, for choice B, they added this comma in here. Right now, comma S makes this possessive. Right? Is the waterway possessing anything? No. So choice B is going to be incorrect. So I can just rewrite this over here. Choice B is going to be incorrect. Choice C says could have polluted waterways. So we can go back to the beginning sense. If it is improperly introduced into the environment, so that's like saying if. That's not saying it's already happened, or it's not in the past tense in any scenario. It is if it is doing it. Right? So it's like a present tense while also having like an if statement, if it happens. Right? So C is also going to be incorrect. Then we have D, has polluted water. Right? That's also completely past tense, just has. It's not even like could have, it just has. That's past tense. That's wrong. So our answer is going to be can pollute waterways. No change. A. And we can keep going to the next question. Okay, let's scroll down a little bit. So we see that yogurt manufacturers, food scientists, and government officials are also working together to develop additional solutions for reusing whey. Okay, so we have yogurt manufacturers, comma, food scientists, and then they have a semicolon, and government officials. So what would we put there? So we have I'm not gonna write out yogurt manufacturers. I'm just gonna shorten it. It doesn't really matter what's here. We're trying to think about what the punctuation in a list is going to be. And then FS, and then you have something here, and then government officials. All right, so what would go there? So as you can get rid of this. As you can see, you have the comma right here. So you have a comma right here. You always use, I mean, you're going to use commas to separate a list, right? So most likely here, you're just going to use a comma. And to use a comma, right? Yogurt manufacturers, food scientists, and government officials, comma, 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 right? So you can look at the other choices, then you see scientist colon and scientist comma and that's one that we were choosing, and scientist comma and comma. Okay, so this is going to be the correct answer because I mean you use commas to separate a list. And if you want to like get a bit more deep into this, then you can think about the fact that semicolons and colons are used. Semicolons and colons can only be used if you have an introductory clause followed by another introductory clause. And so then you can put a semicolon. Sorry, you can put a colon or a semicolon. That is the only scenario where you can do them. If one of these is a dependent clause, then you have to use a comma. And only if it's like this. If it's dependent clause, independent clause, then use a comma. If it's independent, dependent clause, then there's just nothing. You just connect them as is, and you don't put anything there. Right, so it may seem a little difficult to memorize this, but in a sentence, right? In a sentence, the most important thing you can memorize about this is just that it's independent if you're using a semicolon or a colon, and if it's not that, then you can't use those because that'll help you really narrow down. Do I need to use? Should I put a comma or should I put something else? And in this case, it's comma. So one comma C. You wouldn't put two commas because that's just wrong. Like why would you have two commas? That just separates the sentence unnecessarily. So our answer is C, and we can keep going. Okay. Okay, so now we get to this question. To make this paragraph more logical, sentence 5 should be placed where? Okay, so this is the one about rearranging sentences. So we can skim through. I'm just going to skim through this paragraph once more. Right, so first sentence. All right, so we see sentence 5, the one that they're asking us about, says if it is improperly introduced into the environment, acid runoff can pollute waterways, depleting the oxygen content of streams and rivers as it decomposes. Okay, so this sentence is about. So this is about the dangers of this, right? It's about what the environmental problems are with acid way. So when we're looking at this, we can look at the sentence before and the sentence after. So the sentence before is about the uses of acid way. The sentence after is about how people are working together to develop more uses. So in between these two sentences should not be something that has the detriments of acid way because this is about how you can use acid way. So it's not going to be just leave it. It's not going to be just leave it where it is. Yeah, this is just wrong. All right, and then choice B says after sentence one. So they're saying the main environmental problem is creation of acid way as a byproduct. If it is improperly introduced into the environment, this runoff can pollute waterways, including oxygen contents. And so just it says the main environmental problem is acid way, and then 5 says it can do this. So that flows together well. We're going to leave that choice up there. Choice C says after sentence 2. So because it requires up to 4 times more milk than conventional yogurt does, Greek yogurt produces larger amounts of acid whey, which is difficult to dispose of. And then it says, if improperly introduced into the environment, it can do all this. So that seems to work together nicely, but then you look at sentence 3, and it says to address the problem of disposal. So in sentence 2, you say, it's difficult to dispose of, and then you say to address the problem of disposal. You want those two to go together, right? Because sentence 2 is ending saying difficult to dispose of, and then you want to go straight into you can to address the problem of disposal, do this. So that's why you can't do this because you want to keep 2 and 3 together because they flow together like that. And then after sentence 3 is about uses for acid way. That's a good thing. You don't want to put the bad thing back in there, so that's not going to work. And our answer is going to be choice B. Choice B, after sentence 1, that's where we're going to put it. And we can keep going to the next question. All right. Okay. So, scrolling. Though these conservation methods can be costly and time-consuming, they are well worth the effort. And the writer is considering deleting the underlined sentence. Should the writer do this? Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is should the writer delete the sentence, yes or no? And then we figure out why. So though these conservation methods can be costly and time-consuming, they are well worth the effort. Should we delete that sentence? So the sentence before this said, what did it say? It said yogurt manufacturers, food scientists, and government officials are also working together to develop additional solutions for reusing whey. The sentence after this says nutritionists consider Greek yogurt to be a healthy food. It is an excellent source of calcium and protein. Serves to be a digestive aid. That seems wrong, but we're gonna correct that later. So these are two different paragraphs, obviously, so it's not going to be completely together. But the sentence after where we see question number 6 says it's about why it's a healthy food and it's an excellent source, and why it's good for use. All right, so let's see. So what are we gonna do with that? All right, so does it provide a transition from the previous paragraph? It doesn't provide a transition from previous paragraph, but it's a previous paragraph, so it doesn't really need that much of a transition. And then it says it fails to support the main argument of the passage introduced in the first paragraph. And it says no, it contains the explanation of how acid whey can be disposed of safely. It's up the argument in the paragraph for the benefits of Greek yogurt. All right, so which one do we think is correct? So this sentence in the question number 6 that we're trying to see if we should delete or not is all about why why we should produce Greek yogurt, right? It's saying well worth the effort. It is acknowledging that all these things with the acid way exist, but it's saying that using Greek yogurt is going to have benefits that are better than those drawbacks. So it's setting up a talk about the benefits of Greek yogurt. So we're not going to delete it because it's setting up our paragraph about the benefits of Greek yogurt. So no, and it's about the benefits of Greek yogurt. That looks like answer choice D. And that is our answer. Let's keep going to the next question. All right, question number 7. So we see nutritionists consider Greek yogurt to be a healthy food. It is an excellent source of calcium and protein. Serves to be a digestive aid. Well, let's just think serves, and then digestive aid. Digestive aid. So if we wanted to figure out what we could put in there without even looking at the answer choices, we could see, I would think, it serves as a digestive aid. We could say as a digestive aid. And that flows nicely. Is that an answer choice? We see, yeah, serves, and then choice B it says as, and then so as serves as a digestive aid. Choice B. And that's our answer. Let's keep going to the next question. Okay. And it contains few calories in its sweetened low and non-fat forms. So it is an excellent source of calcium and protein, serves as a digestive aid, and and what? So this is going to be a parallel structure problem. Right, so parallel structure is the idea that, in a sentence, if you have multiple different verbs in there, they're going to be the same tense of those verbs. So the first tense you have is it says excellent source of calcium protein, and then it says serves as a digestive aid. You want to have something that it has the same tense, and the same tense usually means it ends in the same thing. That's a good way to remember it. So serves, that would be like just contains. So I mean, if you read that out, it serves as a digestive aid and contains few calories in its unsweetened unrun. So this is going to be correct because this is the same structure as this verb. These two verbs have the same structure, so that parallel structure is there. And this is your answer. So contains, just contains, not it contains, just contains. And that is answer choice C. I'm going to keep going to the next question. Okay. Scroll down a little bit. Let me say Greek yogurt is slightly lower in sugar and carbohydrates than conventional yogurt is. Also, because it is more concentrated, Greek yogurt contains slightly more protein per serving, thereby helping people stay, and then it goes to the next page. So let's see. It's slightly lower in sugar and carbohydrates than conventional yogurt. So it's talking about, first, and it's talking about like nutritional benefits, right, of like less sugar and carbohydrates. And now it's talking about nutritional benefits of more protein. So there's still nutritional benefits. So it's going to have some kind of relationship. So, I mean, obviously it's going to have some kind of relationship because you have that transition word in there. So let's see, we have also, right, that would work, yeah. And then we have in other words. Well, in other words, since it says like it's restating the same thing. But one is about less protein and carbohydrates, and the other is more proteins. I mean, less sugar and carbohydrates versus more protein. Sorry. So that is two different things. So no. And then it says therefore. Therefore means like, this happened, therefore this other thing happened. But they just happen they just happen like they both happen at the same time. And neither of them cause the other. So you can't use therefore. And then for instance is also going to be like an example of that. But both these are concepts, and again, one doesn't cause the other. They happen independently, so you can't use that. So our answer is going to be also. It has that transition. It has that acknowledgement that these two are like similar things, but they are different. So our answer is A. Also, no change. Let's us go to the next question. All right, so we see thereby helping people stay satiated for longer periods of times. All right, so we have satiated, satiated as our no change option, and then we have fulfilled, fulfilled, complacent, complacent, and sufficient, sufficient. So just looking at these words themselves, without even looking at the context or something, you can see that these have roughly the same meaning, but they're used in very different contexts. And that's the point of this question. You have to analyze the context and pick which one of these fulfills the right context in this question. You see, satiated. Well, satiated is about food, and this whole passage is about food. So this would make some sense. Now, fulfilled usually means like you're happy or something. You're like you're not down on yourself. You have your needs met. But that doesn't really talk about nutritional needs, not usually, right? This is a lot more about food than this is. So you're just gonna cross this out. I'm gonna get rid of this, get rid of that. And then we have complacent. Complacent just means that you're okay with your situation. That is not going to be like you're full or something. That is not the same thing. All right. So that, and then we have sufficient. Sufficient means that it's enough. Satiated here, right? And the context of the sentence is trying to say you're full for like long periods of time. Not that you have enough right now. So going to be incorrect. And our answer is going to be satiated, which is answer choice A. Answer choice A. And we can keep going to the next question, the last question of this passage. So these health benefits have prompted Greek yogurt's recent surge in popularity. In fact, Greek yogurt can be found in an increasing number of products such as snack food, frozen desserts, because consumers reap the nutritional benefits of Greek yogurt and support those who make and sell it. Therefore, farmers should continue funding safe and effective methods of producing the food. So that did sound a bit weird at the end. And the reason for that is because in the beginning of the sentence you say because, right? You say because here, which is going to be, like it sets up a causational thing. Because one thing, this other thing happened. And then you have therefore, right? So you're trying to say both of these things happen in causation, but these are both causational words, so you can't just say because and therefore in the same sentence because they mean the same thing. You have to say one. So you already said because you can't change that, so you can't say therefore. Can't say therefore. So you would say like reap the nutritional benefits of Greek yogurt and support those who make and sell it. Let's get rid of this. Make and sell. Who support those who make and sell it. So because they support who make and sell it, the people who make and sell it, farmers and businesses should continue doing it. So that is going to be answer choice B. You just have it, and then you just go into farmers. You don't need to say therefore or so as an answer choice C because you already have this word because you already have a word that is saying one thing happens and then the other thing happens. Right? These two things, one cause the other. You already are having that causal relationship. So you don't need to say that again. Right? You said because, you don't need to say it again. Say it once. It's concise and it's grammatically correct. So our answer here, farmers, choice B. And let's go on to the next passage. All right. Next passage, dark snow. Most of Greenland's interior is covered by a thick layer of ice and compressed snow known as the Greenland ice sheet. The size of the ice sheet fluctuates seasonally. In summer, average daily high temperatures of Greenland can rise to slightly above 50 degrees Fahrenheit, partially melting the ice. In the winter, the sheet thicknesses as additional snow falls, and average daily low temperatures can drop to as low as 20 degrees. And then you have a graph right there. And they're asking which choice most accurately and effectively represents the information in the graph. Okay, so in the sentence before that underlined portion, we see the average daily high temperatures in Greenland can rise to slightly above 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and the sheet thickens in additional snowfalls, and the average daily temperatures can drop to as low as 20 degrees. So you have the average daily temperatures can drop. Temperatures can drop to what? They can drop. Well, I didn't actually say they can drop to what? Right? How low can they go? Right? So as you can see in the graph, we see average daily high, and then in the dotted line, and we see the average daily low is in the actual like full straight line. So we see that, and we see the lowest it goes. The lowest it goes is 12 degrees Fahrenheit. So it can drop to 12 degrees Fahrenheit. Right? That is how low the average daily temperature goes. 12 degrees Fahrenheit. All right. That is the accurate information. That is the most relevant because it asks about average daily temperatures. How low can they go? Right. So 12 degrees Fahrenheit is our answer. That is choice B. And we keep going to the next question. Okay. Typically, the ice sheet begins to show evidence of thawing in late summer. What period? This follows several weeks of high temperatures. Okay, so we're trying to combine these two sentences. So we see thriving in late summer. why did I say summer, and then what? So we have summer following several weeks of higher temperatures. You know that flows, right? Because it connects that following that verb in the right tense to the rest of the sentence. And then we have summer and this thong follows, summer and such thong follows. Those two are too long and they repeat thong, right? In the SAT and ACT really, if you're taking that, you always want to have something that's the most concise, something that works and is short. If all four answer choices work, pick the shortest one, pick the most concise one. All right, you don't want to be repeating something. You don't want to make your answer too long. You want it to be concise. But you want to be efficient. So B and C are going to be incorrect. On summer and this evidence follows. Again, you don't need to say and this evidence. That's too wordy. That's too much. So summer, comma, following. That is it. I know it may seem counterintuitive to like want to be shortening this on standardized tests after going through like all of school and your teacher telling you to write more, but still, this is how the SAT functions. They want it to be the most concise. They want the maximum concision possible. So that's why our answer was answer choice A there. Let's keep going. It's a summer following several weeks of higher temperature. For example, in the summer of 2012, virtually the entire Greenland ice sheet underwent thawing at or near its surface by mid-July, the earliest date on record. Okay, so what are we looking at here? So here we have, for example, in the summer of 2012, virtually the entire Greenland ice sheet underwent thawing at or near its surface by mid-July. So trying to figure out what is the relationship between these two sentences. Typically, it begins to show evidence of thawing in late summer, right? But here we're in this other sentence saying, whereas the entire Greenland ice sheet underwent thawing in its surface in mid-July, which is a lot earlier than late summer, and it acknowledges that, it's a difference. So we say, for example, well, I mean, that is kind of an example, except it's an extreme example because it happened a lot earlier. Then we have, however, it is a bit of a contrast, we don't know. See, as such, in the summer of no, that doesn't really work. And then for D, moreover, in the summer of 2012, the entire ice sheet. Well, that also doesn't work. So as such and moreover, we rule those out. So we're dealing with, for example, comma, and however. So which one is going to be correct? And so we see several weeks of higher temperature, for example, in the summer of 2012, versus the entire Greenland ice sheet went thawing near its surface in mid-July. It's not an example because it's not showing it thawing in late summer. It's showing the opposite. It's showing it thawing a lot earlier. So it's going to be however. It's a contrast. So we use however, and our answer is B. Right, a good way to see this, like just immediately, is knowing that on the SAT, there's only one right answer. Right? So if you look at those answers, you have, for example, however, as such, and moreover. Right? For example, as such, and moreover. They all mean one thing happens, and then this other thing happens that's related to that. And they're all kind of showing that idea of like, this causes that. They have that causal relationship. So if they're all showing the same relationship, then they can almost be used interchangeably with each other. So if one of them is correct, then they all have to be correct. But you only have one correct answer, so it can't be any of those, since they're kind of the same. Right? You can see this in a lot of other things, right? Like in the grammar part, if you have like a semicolon or a semicolon and a period do the exact same thing. So if you have them as answer choices, they can't both be correct. So neither of them are going to be correct, and you can just cross them out and find out the answer. Here, three of them are roughly the same, so none of those can be correct, and the only one left, however, B, that is our answer. And we can keep going to the next question. Okay. Most scientists looking for the causes of the Great Melt of 2012 have focused exclusively on rising temperatures. Summer of 2012 was the warmest in 170 years, records show. But Jason Box, an associate professor of geology at Ohio State, believes that another factor added to the early thaw, the dark snow problem. Okay, so what do we have? But Jason Box, an associate professor at Ohio State, believes that another factor added to the early thaw, the dark snow problem. Okay, so this is kind of just like a modifier, right? So you have Jason Box, you know, you have this dude, and then you're describing what does he do? right? Now, one of the most important things about these kinds of sentences or these kinds of phrases where they're describing something else is that they have to be what is called non-essential. Essentially, you can take out that portion and this thing will still work. But Jason Box believes that another factor added to the early thought. So, right? So we took out the an associate professor of geology at Ohio State. We just took it out. And then it still works because it's still grammatically correct. So we have an associate professor of geology at Ohio State. How do we make it non-essential? Well, that means it has to have the same punctuation on both sides, and that punctuation can be either a comma, a dash, or a parenthesis. You don't really usually see dashes or parentheses in like actual writing, but the SAT loves to use them a lot, so you have to look out for that. So either you're going to have comma, whatever, comma, or a dash, whatever, dash, or parentheses, whatever, parentheses. But at the beginning, you have a comma. So at the end, you want to have a comma. So you want to have one that has a comma on both sides. And you can see that in answer choice C. Jason Box, comma, an associate professor of geology at Ohio State, comma. That is the correct modifier. So our answer is that answer choice, which is choice C. That's our answer. And we can move on to the next question. All right. Next question. Let's keep scrolling. There's another factor added to the early thaw, the dark snow problem. Okay, let's see. So another factor added to the early thaw. So if we have but Jason Box believes that another factor added to the early thaw, that is an independent clause. So we have an independent clause here. And then the next we have the dark snow problem. So if you just said the words the dark snow problem, right, is that a complete sentence? Right? Is that an independent clause? Now, it might seem weird to like just think about, is it a dark snow problem? But it's very important to think about that because you think about can you use colons or something, right? So like you can try out these answer choices. You see the early thaw, and then it says semicolon, and it was the dark snow problem. That's just weird. That's too much. And then you have dark thaw colon the dark snow problem. Colons are used in that way. You say something and you set it up for something else, and you say it. And then you have colon thaw being the dark snow problem. If you're going to say being, there is no point of putting a colon there. The colon functions as something that sets something up. So there's no point of putting being if you have a colon. So you can't. So it's not going to be D. It's not going to be B. And then you have thaw, and then it has a semicolon, the dark snow problem. So I mean, you use the semicolon or a colon. So you know what this is going to be an independent clause. You either have a semicolon, you have a colon, or a semicolon. Those are options. But which one is going to be correct? You have this, and then you're setting up this. So one thing sets up another. That is going to be a colon. So the colon is the answer, which is choice C. That is our answer. And we move on to the next question. All right. Next question. According to Box, leading Greenland expert, tundra fires in 2012 from as far away as North America produced great amounts of soot. Some of it drifted over Greenland into giant plumes of smoke and then fell as particles onto the ice sheet. Alright, so produced great amounts of soot. Some of it. That doesn't really sound right, does it? So let's look at answer choices, right? We have some of it. No. We have some soot. That seems repetitive, saying it twice. Some of which. That seems to be correct. Right? If you have great amounts of soot, some of which, right, you're essentially like being able to restate that, like saying soot again, but you're not saying it because that would be repetitive. So you're continuing the subject on by like talking about soot again, but you're not being repetitive by saying the word soot. So that's why it's going to be some of which, C. And it's not going to be delete because that's just like some drifted over Greenland. You don't know what is drifting over Greenland. So you missed the subject there, so that's why that's incorrect. And our answer is C. Let's keep going. Okay. So then we have and then fell as particles onto the ice sheet. Right, so some of it in giant plumes of smoke, and then fell. Sounds good. And then falls. No, because it's not present tense. It's past tense. It happened then. Will fall. No, that's future tense. It's already happened. And then had fallen. No, that's also not correct. Because saying and then had fallen is not going to be used for some this had fallen is going to be something called the perfect tense. Right? So if you take like a Latin class or like some other class that goes very in deep into into the grammar and tenses, right? You're probably not going to talk about this in like Spanish class or something. You're going to understand that there, other than like the past, present, future tense, there's also a bunch of other tenses like the perfect tense and the imperfect tense. And the perfect tense is going to be the tense of something having been completed, right? But this is just the pure past tense because they're talking about this in the past, and it's just that kind of issue. So this is going to be a past tense, so it's going to be fell. That's choice A. And if you do want to learn more about the perfect tense, I mean, you can just look it up. There's probably going to be something there that'll help you. But it's not that important on the SAT because it doesn't really pop up that much, and it's pretty easy to distinguish between past and perfect tense. All right, let's keep going. Scientists have long known that particles facilitate melting by darkening snow and ice, limiting its ability to reflect the sun's rays. So we have it's like this, and then we have the other it's, and then we have there and there. Okay, so the first thing I can do is I notice that this is going to be some kind of possessive thing. So there is not going to work. This one is not. This is possessive. This is the possessive there. That's like a location there. So this is possessive, so we can cross that one out. And then we have it's and its. And when you have the apostrophe, the thing I like to do is just make this it is. Right? They mean the same thing. And it is not possessive. So this isn't possessive, so this is also going to get plural. So you have it's in there. So this is singular, and this is plural. And we need to figure out which one. So what is the subject, right? It's kind of hard to do this sometimes because the SAT likes to hide that subject in certain places. And you have to figure out when they use this verb, what are they referring to? What are they referring back? It might be like a full sentence back, but that's still important, and you need to know, is it singular or plural? Okay. So scientists have long known that soot particles facilitate melting by darkening snow and ice. Snow and ice. That is singular, right? So it's snow and ice limiting its ability to reflect the sun's rays. Not snow and ice limiting their ability. It's snow and ice limiting its ability. Right? Snow and ice limiting its ability, not snow and ice limiting their ability to do something. So our answer is its. And we keep going to the next question. All right. So, as Box explains, soot is an extremely powerful light absorber. It settles over the ice and captures the sun's heat. The result is a self-reinforcing cycle. As the ice melts, the land and water under the ice become exposed, and since land and water are darker than snow, the surface absorbs even more heat, which is related to the rising temperatures. Let's see. So we're not really talking about the rising temperatures here, are we? We're talking about, how does dark snow have an impact on this? So the surface absorbs even more heat, which, well, we're trying to talk about the cycle, right? We melted the surface, makes the next thing exposed, and then it melts the next thing. So it should be leads to additional melting. That is answer choice D. So our answer here is answer choice D. And we keep going to the next question. All right. All right, so we told that Box's research is important because the fires of 2012 may not be a one-time phenomenon. Now, obviously, we see the one again. We see the box with the one, so you're going to be on the lookout for some sentences that seem misplaced. It's important because the fires of 2012 may not be a one-time phenomenon. According to scientists, rising Arctic temperatures are making northern latitudes greener and thus more fire-prone. The pattern first observed in 2012 may repeat itself again. Okay, let's just break that down. So we have repeat. I spelled repeat wrong. Repeat itself again. Now, I'm gonna give you a second. Do you see anything wrong with this sentence? Just like fundamentally wrong with saying repeat itself again. What is the difference between repeat and again? There is no difference. These things mean the exact same thing. And if they mean the exact same thing, then why are they saying it twice? Right? That is why this just doesn't make sense. So you can't say repeat itself again. You say repeat itself, or you say it happens, the thing happened again. You can't say both. All right, so repeat is there. You can't change the repeat. So you got to change the again. So you can't have this. Repeat itself. Right? So the thing observed in 2012 may repeat itself, comma, and then just keep going. So itself, comma, nothing else. That is answer choice B. And we can keep going to the next question. Okay. All right, next question. It may repeat itself again. Powerful effects on the Arctic ecosystem. Vox is currently organizing an expedition to gather this critical information. Well, like, let's look at that for a second. The pattern Vox observed in 2012 may repeat itself again. Powerful effects on the Arctic ecosystem. Vox is currently organizing an expedition to gather this crucial information. What crucial information? We don't know what crucial information it is. Right? We aren't told. Right? So we're realizing that might have to, the order there might have to change. And we see in the question in 22, they're going to change that sentence 4. We have the next step for Box and his teams travel to Greenland to perform direct sampling of the ice in order to determine just how much the soot is contributing to the melting of the ice sheet. So that seems correct, right? You have that sentence, and then, that is the information that they're gathering. So you have, it might have harmful effects on the ecosystem. Sentence 5, this is the next step. And then sentence 4, you're going to, like, gather some of this data. So you're going to have 3, and then you take out the 4, and you put it after 5. So sentence 5, and then sentence 4. So you're going to put sentence 4 after sentence 5. That's an answer choice. That's an answer choice D. The other ones don't make sense, right? Leaving it where it is, obviously not. That just messes up the whole paragraph. Sentence 1 and sentence 2 aren't to that point yet about that any information, so those are also going to be incorrect. So our answer is choice D. And let's keep going to the next passage. All right, next passage says, co-working a creative solution. When I left my office job as a website developer at a small company for a position that allowed me to work full-time from home, I thought I had it made. I gleefully traded in my suits and dress shoes for sweatpants and slippers. My frantic early morning bagged lunch packing for a leisurely midday trip to my refrigerator. The novelty of this comfortable work from home life, however, soon got worn off quickly. Okay, so let's look at that. So we have however, comma, soon got worn off quickly. Okay, so again, take a look at this sentence for a second. Take a look at this phrase for a second, and look if you see anything wrong with it. Because I see something wrong with this. What is the point of putting soon and quickly in the same sentence? What is the difference between these two words? They mean the same thing. Why are they in the same sentence? Right, so obviously you cannot change quickly. It's there, so you got to change soon. So you can't have this. You just can't. You can't have that. So any of the choices that have like soon, then you can't put them there. Right, so it says however, comma. This is the only one that has soon in it, so I really would just get rid of A. But then we have however, was properly worn off quickly. Was promptly. Promptly is also, kind of like soon. It's happening basically like as soon as it happens. So promptly is also going to be repetitive with quickly here. So you can't have B and you can't have C. So the answer has to be D. And if you put that in, it says, however, wore off. The novelty of his comfortable work from home life, however, wore off quickly. That's concise and it works. Our answer choice here is going to be D. And we can keep going to the next question. Okay. Within a month, I found myself feeling isolated despite having frequent email and instant messaging contact with my colleagues. Having become frustrated trying to solve difficult problems, and then it says no colleagues were nearby to share ideas. Okay, so this is a kind of think about a misplaced modifier. So the modifier here is having been frustrated trying to solve difficult problems. Now the next word after that has to be what that sentence is modifying. So having been frustrated trying to solve difficult problems. Who is being frustrated trying to solve difficult problems? It's the author, so it's going to be like I. So it has to be I right after that sentence has to be have been frustrated trying to solve a difficult problem. I was something, right? And here we say no colleagues were nearby to share ideas. So maybe it was like I was frustrated because there were no colleagues to share ideas, or I wanted colleagues to share ideas with. I don't know. But I have to say I after that. So choice D is the only one that says I. Right? I missed having colleagues nearby to consult. So our answer is going to be D. It has the right modifier. So that's our answer. Let's keep going. All right, so then we have, it was during this time that I read an article into co-working spaces. So into co-working space. Do you read an article into something? No, you read an article about something, right? So I read an article about co-working spaces. You know that one. Not an article into co-working spaces or upon co-working spaces or for co-working spaces. It's about something. That's what articles do. They're about something else. So about is the answer. That is choice B. And that's our answer. All right, choice B. Let's keep on going. The article published by Forbes magazine explained that co-working spaces are designated locations that, for a fee, individuals can use to conduct their work. The spaces are usually stocked with standard office equipment, such as photocopiers, printers, and fax machines. These locations, however, wait, actually, we should probably stop because there's a question there. Spaces are usually stocked with standard office equipment, such as something. So it's a standard office equipment, and then it's listing something up. So right, you have to have a comma there, equipment, comma. So you can't use part C. You can't use choice C. You have equipment, comma, such as what? When you say such as something else, you're just gonna be like such as something something else. I don't know. You're just gonna keep going. You're not gonna put anything here. There's no punctuation there. It's such as something, and it keeps going. So there's comma right here before, or wherever it is, equipment, comma, such as, and then it keeps going. No punctuation after that. The only one that works there is choice A, no change. The other ones have equipment, comma, such as, and then some punctuation that messes it up. So our answer is A. A. That is our answer. And let's keep going to question number 27. Right, so in these locations, however, the spaces often include small meeting areas and larger rooms for hosted presentations. The cost of wait, no, we have a question. In these locations, however, right, spaces will often include small meeting areas and larger rooms for host presentations. So this isn't really saying in these locations, however, this isn't a contrast. So this isn't a however, right? This is saying in addition to, you're adding this on to something else. You have this, also this. So you're saying in addition. You see that in choice B. In addition to equipment, you got all this stuff. Right? For these reasons and likewise are both like comparison things, not like adding stuff on. So our answer is B, in addition to. So our answer is B. All right, B. Now, let's keep going. The cost of launching a new co-working business in the United States is estimated to approximately $58,000. That was kind of random. I didn't see where that came from. Right? So does it like what is the point of that sentence? The cost of launching a new co-working business in the United States is estimated to be approximately $58,000. Right? They're not talking about finances in this. They're talking about what a co-working space is, not even a co-working business. This is deleted because it just takes away from the paragraph by just saying something that doesn't make any sense. So how they usually say it from the SAT is deleted because it blurs the paragraph's main focus by introducing a loosely related detail. Right, so that's choice C. Choice C is our answer, and we can keep going to the next question. Okay. What most caught my interest, though, was a quotation from someone else who described co-working spaces as melting pots of creativity. The article refers to a 2012 survey in which 64% of respondents noted that co-working spaces prevented them from completing tasks in a given time. Whoa. First of all, that's a negative thing. Second of all, that doesn't seem like it would be something that you put in an article anyway. Like, so you're saying at this point they want to add specific information that supports the main topic of the paragraph. It has to be from the graph, obviously. It has to be accurate from the graph. So let's see. So no change is just wrong because 64% say it helped them do that. It's a positive impact, not a negative impact. And then we see 71% of respondents indicated that using co-working space increased their creativity. That is correct. Positive impact, creativity. So our answer would be B. Right, that one worked. That's B. We can keep looking at choices though. They credited co-work spaces with giving them 74% of their ideas relating to business. All right, 74% of the ideas relating to business. Well, it said like 74% of people, it helped them, not percent of ideas. And then improved by 12% in the co-working space. It also doesn't talk about how much they improved by. It's just how much people thought that it was improved. And that's not even correct because that was actually the negative impact percentage. So our answer stays as B. And then we say the article goes on to suggest that the most valuable resources provided by co-working spaces are actually the people who use them. The people who use them, right? It's actually the people who use them, right? Not whom. Who use them? That is answer choice D. And let's keep going. Okay. So now we're coming back here and we have another question with the brackets. So another thing, you're gonna have to mess around with sentences. All right, so thus, even though I already had all the equipment I needed in my home office, I decided to try using a co-working space in my city. Let's see, because I was specifically interested in co-working's reported benefits related to creativity, I chose a facility that offered a bright open work area where I wouldn't be isolated. Throughout the morning, more people appeared. Periods of quiet during which everyone worked independently were broken up occasionally with lively conversation. I want to add the following sentence saying, after filling out a simple registration form and taking a quick tour of the facility, I took a seat at the table and got right to work on my laptop. And then asking, where do we put this sentence? Okay, so let's see. Okay, so we see that it says using co-working space in my city, and then it says I chose a facility that offered this, and then after filling out a simple registration form for the facility, I took a seat and got to work on the laptop. So that should go after, choosing a facility and before, like work people started appearing, work happened. So that's after two, before three. So right after sentence two, that is answer choice C. That's our answer. And we keep going to the next question. All right, so I like the experience so much that I now go to the co-working space a few times a week. Over time, I've gone to know several of my co-working colleagues, right? So co-working colleagues then set something up. Another website developer, a graphic designer, a freelance writer, and several mobile app coders. Okay, several of my co-working colleagues, right? So another website, like that sentence is saying another website developer on and on and on. That is not an independent clause. That's a dependent clause. It's just listing out stuff. So that's going to have a comma there. You can't put it like a semicolon or colon. That's going to have a comma. So co-working colleagues, comma, not a semicolon or colon. And you can't just put nothing there because you need something to set it up. So you put the comma, you have the comma when you have C, and choice C has the comma, so that's our answer, choice C. And we keep going to the next question. Okay, so, and then what? Even those of us who work in disparate fields are able to share advice and help each other brainstorm. All right. Even those who work in disparate fields are able to share advice, give some wisdom, proclaim our opinions, and opine. Right? What sounds the most professional, the most accurate for this kind of context of professional development, of coworkers? What song give some wisdom or claim our opinions or opine, which is just like a random word? It's able to share advice. So share advice, that's choice A, and that is our answer. Share advice. Let's keep going to the next question. Okay. So, the consolations of philosophy, long viewed as many, long viewed by many as the stereotypical useless major, philosophy is now being seen by many students and prospective employers as in fact a very useful and practical major. It offers students a host of transferable skills with relevance to the modern workplace. In broad terms, philosophy is the study of meaning and the values underlying thought and behavior. Okay. So in broad terms, and they say this, right? I mean, that seems to work out. You're defining what this is broadly as an entire area, an entire field. You're defining what it is. right? So that seems to be correct. That seems to be what should be there, right? In broad terms, this, right? So that seems to be correct. So the answer is choice A. You wouldn't say, for example, or in contrast, nevertheless, because the previous sentence didn't set up anything else to make a comparison or a contrast with. So it'd be choice A in broad terms. So choice A. All right, next question says, but more pragmatically, the discipline encourages students to analyze complex material, question conventional belief, and express thoughts in a concise manner. But more pragmatically, right? So we have four choices that are all about like more pragmatically, but they're different lengths, they're different amounts of concision. And the most concise is choice A. So that's our answer. Choice A. More pragmatically, choice A. That is it. Choice A. That's our answer. Okay. So then we have in the next paragraph, because philosophy teaching students not what to think but how to think. Well, because philosophy teaches students not what to think but how to think. So it should be teaches, not just teaching. It should be teaches. Like philosophy teaches students this. So teaches is the answer. That is choice B. And we can move on to the next question. Okay. So the age-old discipline offers consistently useful tools for academic and professional achievement. 37. Which choice effectively sets up the information that follows? And then we have a 1994 survey concludes that only 18% of American colleges required at least one philosophy course. All right, let's see. So that sentence is saying that, you know, it might be useful, but people haven't really accepted it. At least colleges haven't accepted it. So this would be like a contrast. We have consequently, therefore, notwithstanding, however. That's the first word of each of the answer choices. We want a contrast. The only contrast word is however. However, despite its many utilitarian benefits, colleges have not always supported the study of philosophy. That is a contrast. That is in the right context. That is our answer. Choice D. That's our answer. Let's keep going to the next question. Okay. All right. Therefore, between 1992 and 1996, more than 400 of philosophy dependents were eliminated from institution. Right? This is saying people don't accept it, and then you're adding this other thing that's in this like comparison. It's the kind of similar. So this would be like moreover, right? That's when looking at stress, it would be moreover. It's not saying therefore or thus. Those are causal things, right? It's not because of this that happened. It's because it's this happened and also this happened. These are two different things, but they both happened and they're both similar. So moreover would be the correct answer. It's obviously not however because there's no contrast. They're both saying similar things, you know? This one is about they don't see the use of philosophy. And this one's like they didn't see the use of philosophy so much they eliminated the department. The entire department is just gone. Alright, so that is our answer. Alright. Keep going. More recently, colleges have recognized the practicality and increasing popularity of studying philosophy and have markedly increased the number of philosophy programs offered. By 2008, there were 817 programs, up from 765 a decade before. In addition, the number of four-year graduates in philosophy has grown 46% in a decade. Also, studies have found that those students who major in philosophy often do better than students from other majors in both verbal reasoning and analytical writing. These results can be measured by standardized test scores. So it seems like, both verbal reasoning and analytical writing as measured by standardized test scores. Right? So in the answer choices, we see analytical writing as measured by standardized test scores. Right? That's what I said. As measured by standardized test scores. That's the most concise one, and it works. So that's our answer. Choice A. That is it. Let's keep going. Okay. On the graduate record examination GRE, for example, students intending to study philosophy in graduate school have scored higher than students in all but four other majors. So you're saying study philosophy in graduate school, something has something higher in all but four other majors. All right, so let's see. For them, students intending to study philosophy in graduate school has scored. Well, saying students, that's a plural thing. To be have scored. Right? It has to be have scored because it's also a past tense. So it's not going to be scores or scoring. It has to be have scored. So our answer is have scored. Answer choice B. And that's our answer. Let's keep going. Okay. These days, many students majoring in philosophy, right? So majoring is not possessive to students, so it's just going to be students, no apostrophe. Many students majoring in philosophy. So students majoring, no apostrophes. That's it. So students majoring is going to be choice B. And that is our answer. Let's keep going. Okay. So scroll a bit down. All right. So raise study. Let's see. So these days, many students majoring in philosophy have no intention of becoming philosophers. Instead, they plan to apply those skills in other disciplines. Law and business specifically benefit from complicated theoretical issues raised in the study of philosophy, but philosophy can be just as useful in engineering or any other field for applying complex analytic skills. 42. The ancient Greek philosopher Plato, for example, wrote many of his works in the form of dialogues. Okay. We're talking about engineering here or something, right? So it doesn't really it doesn't really help the paragraph because you're just saying this one thing that like kind of takes away from the paragraph and you don't even explain what it's doing. So it'd be no because it blurs the paragraph's focus by introducing a new idea that goes unexplained. Choice C. That's our answer. Let's keep going. Okay. All right. So we have these skills are transferable across professions, which makes them especially beneficial. It wouldn't be that, right? It would be that these skills are transferable across professions makes them especially beneficial to 21st century students. It wouldn't be which make, it would just be makes. So we delete that portion. We're going to just completely delete it, get rid of it. Choice D is completely get rid of it. It's gone. That's our answer. And we can go on to the last question on this section. All right, so because today's students can expect to hold multiple jobs, some of which may not even exist yet, doing during our lifetime, studying philosophy allows them to be flexible and adaptable. So getting rid of the anything in the dashes, right? That means it's non-essential. You can get rid of it. So you can just get rid of that, saying because today's students can expect to hold multiple jobs during our lifetime. During our lifetime, what? It's during their lifetime, right? It doesn't matter our lifetime. It's during the people who are having the jobs. So it's during their lifetime, not. It could be during their lifetime, right? Because today's students, so plural. So it wouldn't be his or her ones because that's singular. Be today's students may expect to hold multiple jobs during their lifetime, plural. The answer is there. D, there. And that is our answer. All right, so that is the conclusion of the writing and language section on this practice test one. Be sure to check out the other videos on the math sections, both math sections, calculator and non-calculator, as well as the reading sections. As always, the link is going to be in the description. If you want to look at this test or any other test, or any other section in this practice test, you can look at that. You can find this practice test and many more on the official Khan Academy or College Board websites. And we will be back next time to do more of these questions and more practice tests, more sections. I'll see you then.